So to set the agenda correctly, this is the same frame as the Ntorq 125.
Okay.
The wheelbase is the same, the ground clearance is roughly the same, seat height is roughly the same, for example, and therefore it still has 12-inch wheels. It has not moved on in any form or fashion from there.
Okay.
But TVS has learned a lot along the way and they've used their learnings. So we've always said the Ntorq was unusually heavy. And I distinctly remember a conversation where somebody who I cannot name anymore says there was at least 8 to 11 kilos extra on the Ntorq 125 because they were building this for the first time. They were not sure about whether to go fully lightweight, middle way, heavier way, etc. So there was, to them, as much as 11 kilos extra on that chassis, still is, because they haven't updated that chassis. This scooter was very, very consciously made from the effort of, we will make this light if possible. So this scooter weighs only 115 kilos.
Okay.
Just to give you a sense of where we are at, this scooter sort of borders on the 150s, the Aerox and the Zoom 160, for example. The Zoom 160, 142 kilos. So if the Zoom 160 is making, let's call it 2 bhp more, which is the Aerox, roughly 15 bhp, this scooter is running 30 kilos less. So the performance advantage will probably be in the favor of the TVS, although it is a smaller and lighter scooter with smaller wheels.
The Aerox won't be a fair comparison.
The Aerox is still heavier, but much lighter than the Zoom 160. The Zoom 160 is by far the heaviest scooter in this group.
The Zoom 160 is the heaviest?
Yeah, the Aerox is still, I think, the most powerful of these scooters by a small margin, but where the TVS has the big advantage, and TVS is very savvy at this. This is the scooter with the maximum peak torque. This is the scooter with the peak torque arrives the earliest.
Okay.
What they've done, and I swear it is the most weird double-edged sword, is they have put all the maturity of engineering that they've learned along the way into the Ntorq 150. So the feel of the rawness of the 125 has disappeared. So you have a very mature, slick, sophisticated product in feel, and I'm not convinced that it's all good. Because sometimes I did on this ride, I rode that TVS loop track where there's just one right turn and a little left kind of thing. I sometimes miss the raw feeling of the Ntorq 125, and sometimes I was like, no, I really like this slickness more, and I vacillated between this state and that state and this state and that state.
I get it.
Yeah. So underneath the frame is 125, reinforced, lightened, rethought through, but they didn't change the format at all.
How have they lightened the frame if it's the same in that sense?
Materials would have moved on. Some of the extra bracing and the weight was there. Like I said, they had already more or less said, and officially, unofficially, I don't remember now because this is a long time ago, but unofficially / officially, there was extra weight on that bike anyway. And I'm saying I bought my Ntorq and took off the center stand and took off the grab rail and all of that. And one insurance guy, because I was switching policies and I made a mistake with the date, came and looked at it and said, oh, stunter. He said, what do you mean stunter? Like I'm 45 years old or something. So he looked at me saying, oh, stunter. I'm like, are you serious? This is my scooter. It's not my son's scooter or something. नहीं आप stunting करते हैं. ऐसे क्यों? ऐसे stunting वाला scooter ऐसे ही दिखता है ना. एक भी guard नहीं है, grab rail नहीं है, center stand नहीं है. लेकिन एग्जॉस्ट स्टॉक क्यों रहे? आप स्टंटिंग करते हो तो एग्जॉस्ट भी डाल दो. दिस इज द इंश्योरेंस सर्वेयर. So it has that image, right?
Okay.
So they cleaned it up and they refined it, and maturity has happened, and they've readjusted the suspension because the weight has changed so fundamentally, right? So if I remember correctly, the static sag is a little bit higher, so it sits higher on the suspension. The suspension units have been retuned, the compression damping. We're talking about a scooter. Right? The wheels are roughly the same size. They're still TVS Remora tires, which are excellent tires, etc., etc. So the baseline of the scooter is, the skin is new and under the skin it is mostly evolved. Okay, now the engine, it's the same base engine as the Ntorq 125, which was a slightly long stroke engine. This is a much larger engine, but also a slightly longer stroke engine. So in there are lighter pistons than before, wider bore, longer stroke, etc., etc. And this amounts to 13.2 PS.
From? As in the 125 was how much?
11-ish. Okay, and the street mode on this scooter is 10.6. So in theory, in the street mode on the Ntorq 150, you're doing roughly the same performance as the Ntorq 125. Okay, so it's a smooth engine. Which we can't really say for the old Ntorq.
Yeah.
The old Ntorq had a little bit of, this is a smooth engine. It goes up to 104 officially on the GPS. It shows 108, 109. If you're lighter, you will see more. And I hit 109 on this scooter. So at, I'm going to say 100 plus, that rubber band kind of feeling that you get from scooters at the top with CVTs, it's like that feeling you get, but it's right at the top. It's not anywhere in the middle. It's smoothened out in the middle, which the Ntorq 125 could not be accused of. So you can see that every single aspect of the Ntorq 125 has been brought forward some way or another. It's gained maturity and refinement, and which is why I said, if you've ridden an Ntorq 125, I'm not sure you're going to enjoy all aspects of the Ntorq 150.
I'm just going to tell you now, while Shumi's been talking, I'm like flashbacking to the 125 when I last rode, and that was a long time back. And which is why I was a little hesitant when I spoke about the handling, because I remember it being fun, but was it light feeling? I wasn't sure.
It wasn't.
It wasn't,
No.
right? Huh. But what undoubtedly I remember is that the sensation of the Ntorq is A, sound, and two, is the pulse. Like when you accelerate, you can always feel that vibe through the handlebar, through the scooter, and that transition point, that in between when you're accelerating, it had that one point where it went, and then you felt it all the more, and then it would move on.
Yeah.
And which is why, so what changes you made is maybe what I wanted, but not right for everybody.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If you have context on the Ntorq 125, you're going to have lots of questions. If you don't have context, you're going to say, oh, that's nice. So if you've ridden an Ntorq 125, I know that you have questions about the Ntorq 150, but I never actually had a conversation with somebody at TVS saying, what percentage of Ntorq 150 buyers are you expecting to see as upgraders from 125s? And how many will be brand new customers who've just shown up? Right? Because the baseline, I believe, is if 35% of our market is moving on to scooters and the number keeps growing in terms of percentage as two-wheelers, a large part of that is happening in the 125cc class as we become aspirationally more active. And it's not, I need a scooter, I have to have an Activa anymore. Or it is at least changing fundamentally. And Honda is not able to capitalize on that part of the demand as well as they'd like to. In that scenario, people have to show up and buy newer and more different kinds of products. It has to segment up a little bit. Now, I think in questions from circles, which will be a segment towards the end of this video, if you're on YouTube, you will not see it. It's only on the app. People from the app ask questions and we answer those questions. In those questions will be questions about saying, motorcycle segmentation, I understand. There is something called an EDV and blah, blah, blah. What are scooter segments? We will answer that question. So I believe this movement is happening in that direction where aspiration is there, a little bit more evolution is required, and a sporty scooter is a natural evolution. As usual, I think TVS could have really pushed the sportification of the Ntorq 150 further. As usual, if you do that, it becomes more and more and more niche. And TVS says, maybe niche Ntorq is the next step. So maybe when this thing gets the race XP, there will be even more performance. But it will be the generation 3 of the Ntorq, which will have the 14-inch wheels and the tunnel in the floorboard and all of that, and become a proper sporty scooter that says, you know what, screw practicality, it's not important.
That is a clip from MotorInc. And what that means is, if you'd like to see more of these, you can do two things. One is stay on this channel, subscribe and watch more, or you can come to the main MotorInc channel where you'll find a much longer video that discusses this idea in a lot more detail.